Now looking back as an adult, I realized how weird that is, because there is nothing that my 14, 15-year-old self had in common with a 19-year-old. Hey y'all, it's K Creative. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get on to the video. Today I kind of wanted to do something a little bit differently. I'm doing this video not just for me, but also for people who have been through similar situations such as I have, as far as dealing with relationships and just navigating love in your early teens and 20s. I know for me, I have made a lot of mistakes on the way. Aside from that, I'm just here to tell my testimony and my story so that hopefully I can help others as well. So how this video will go is I'm just going to go by each relationship, what happened in the relationship, what it taught me, and who knows, maybe you'll hear a relationship and you'll be like, girl, we was living the same life, because I know for a fact. Well, let me not say I know for a fact, because my life is pretty interesting. I feel like it is a very suspenseful comedy drama series, and it is not serious for real. Let's just get started. Let's get on to the stories. So remember I said please be prepared? Yeah. So now we're gonna talk about my first relationship. So I'm not gonna say their names. I'm gonna say the first initial of their name. So this first guy, we're gonna call him N. We dated when I was around 14, 15 at the time, and he was 19. Now looking back as an adult, I realized how weird that is, because there is nothing that my 14, 15-year-old self had in common with a 19-year-old. So I feel like it was a lot of grooming aspects that have to do with that relationship. As I said, I was 14, 15, so I didn't really know any better. How we met is we met off of this app called Anime Amino, where it was an app for people like anime, and we just had our own little community to ourselves. And so we dated for about 10, 11 months. In between the relationship, my parents found out about it, and I got is so much trouble. I had my phone taken away and everything. When they gave me my phone back, they had apps blocked on my phone. Like, I didn't have an Instagram, nothing, but I did have a Skype. That's how we were able to still continue the relationship. That was the very first start to this trend I had created for myself within my teenage years, with constantly being in relationships, because I just felt like being loved by somebody was the way to love myself. We ended up breaking up because he had told me he liked somebody else, and I was devastated. But now looking back, like, girl, get yourself together. But one of my key takeaway from that relationship is that older men are no different from the men in your age bracket, and that when it comes to your teenage years, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, especially if you're a 15-year-old girl or below, there's absolutely nothing that you have in common with a senior in high school or above. So please do not think that you got the juice like that. No, that man is a pedophile. In all seriousness. Now my second relationship, we gonna call him E. And this was like almost a couple months after the very first relationship, because I was now looking back, I'm just like, dang, why was I fiending to be in a relationship so much? But no, this time, okay, so the first one was a long distance relationship. That's number one. Number two, the second relationship was also long distance, and we met through Discord. This relationship lasted about 2 months. We were both around the same age, so around 15, 16 years old. He may have been a year older, but he just randomly broke up with me one day, and then ended up finding out that his father passed. I kind of give that one a little grace. You know, that's okay. But my key takeaway from that is stop doing things that don't make sense. Because honestly, that relationship did not make sense. I just really wanted to be with somebody. That's the only reason why I existed in that realm. And it's so funny thinking about it now. Like, I really was so happy to be in that relationship, because I was hurting from the first one. And the first one I had to hurt silently because of the fact of I didn't tell my parents what I was going through, because I already got in trouble for it the first time. Now, this was my third relationship. Third relationship was with this guy named. We had met on this teen friend app. I was a year older than him. This was just an app where you could like, meet and make friends, but we ended up liking each other. This relationship lasted about maybe 2-3 months. But what was so lovely about this relationship is that this was actually like my first kiss. Well, it was my first kiss. And this was my first look into what innocent love was, because the first two, I wouldn't say they were so innocent because they had a lot of sexual aspects that I did within the relationship, because somewhere also along the line, I believe that sex equated to love. And goddamn, did I learn my lesson on that one. This one was just really, this was really fresh, really refreshing. But after the week after I had my first kiss with him, he had like just went mute, ghosted me. Mind you, we lived in 2 different cities, but we still lived in the Chicago area. He lived in the suburbs. Yeah, ghosted me, and then came back and broke up with me on some "it's not you, it's me." And then like years later, I asked him about it, because we were still, because I'm like, it was a little kitty love that we had. And he was like, I honestly can't even remember to tell you why I did it. I'm like, they was a kiss bad? Like, did my breath stink? We did have to be chaperone the first day too. So could that have been it? I don't know, child. I'll never know. But my lesson and takeaway from that, love can be as innocent as you want it to be, or it can be as fast as you want it to be. I think that's just all determined upon the pace that you want to go on, but also do things that make you comfortable. Make sure you're with somebody that makes you feel comfortable, so that you don't feel like you have to do those things, you know? Okay, so the 4th relationship, this is with this guy named M, and I was 17 and he was 22. We also met on this Discord community for Black anime lovers. And when we first started talking, it was cool, y'all. It was so cool. Again, probably with the grooming aspect as well, considering that he was 22 and I was 17. There was nothing that we had in common. But like I said, it started great. And then for some reason, it got really emotionally and mentally bad. It was a lot of verbal abuse going on, kind of like the same with my first relationship too. A lot of comments about my weight. In my head, like, I think I convinced myself that this person was trying to help me in some sort of way with like weight loss and whatnot. But as you can see, I'm still a big girl. So how much did that even really help? And this was like pretty much on and off for a good 6 months, until I found out that he had proposed to some girl that he knew for 10 years. And I was like, why even put me through that? And you had a whole, you got a whole fiance. Does that make sense? But I feel like that was my turning point in high school, to be like, okay, I'm gonna stop dating until my person comes around, which is funny because exactly that year later, I got into my 5th relationship. But again, I digress. My key takeaway from the 4th relationship: you're not a tree. You can move. But no, I feel like people show you who they are, and it's up to you as the person to decide whether you want to be susceptible to that hurt constantly, or you want to decide, you know what, this is not for me, this does not serve me, I'm going to move on. And constantly I kept choosing to, I'm just going to endure this. Relationships are always rocky at first. That's just how he is. No, that's not how he is. He's a dickhead. And if anybody else is going through that, he's not going to change. And please hear me when I say he is not going to change. Now, this is my 5th relationship. And this happened in my freshman year of college. And it was with this dude that I met. He didn't go to school, but he lived in the city that I went to school in. We could call him A. I feel like that was really when the time where I felt really romanced. I was getting flowers every week. I was going out on dates. Like, he had a car. And in freshman year, I didn't have a car. Maybe I still don't have a car. But I just felt like, if I had to describe a song, kissing and hope they cut us, whether they like it or not. I wanna show you up. I wanna show you up. If that Doja Cat and whatnot. And this was also the very first person that I had sex with. And this is where I felt like, okay, this is my first person that I had sex with. It just has to work. It has to absolutely work. And that relationship lasted 5 months, a good 4 or 5 months. We went on winter break and he said he wants to take a break. Then we ended up breaking up, and then I ended up finding out that he cheated on me. So that was nice. That was very heartbreaking because, as I said previously, like somewhere along down the line, I equated sex to love. And I thought, well, because it's my first person, he should love me, right? Right, but that was not the case. And my takeaway from this relationship: do not get into a relationship your freshman year of college. Your freshman year of college is meant for you to not only explore yourself but explore your horizons. Okay, you can't like know exactly what you want immediately when you enter your first year into college, because you do not know. I'm 23 and I still don't know myself, and I'm still learning every day. Even if it looks like everybody's getting into a relationship, I promise you they're not. And if they are, it's not gonna last and it's not good. Trust me, I know from experience. Another lesson that I learned, another lesson that I learned, is just sex isn't love. Sex does not equate to love. These niggas will have sex with you and then forget your name the next day. And that was a hard truth I had to learn in my college years, child. Because I be delusional. I'm really the type of person where, like, if I start liking you, like, I think we're gonna be together. I think that's also the reason why I'm not dating or having sex right now. Let's go into the sixth relationship, child. And my final relationship. This is where I had the click, you know, that moment where a woman's brain flips on, kind of what I had. This guy was named L. And I'm going to be completely honest about how we met. A lot of people think that I met him when I was attending Fisk, and they think that he went to Fisk. That was not the case at all. He never went to college, as a matter of fact. And I met him on IMVU. And this was during 2020, during COVID. I was super alone and stuff, so I started playing like virtual reality games. I was on Second Life, IMVU. I played Sims for like a little bit, but yeah, that's how I met him. It started off, I caught feelings first and I shot my shot at him first, and it just kind of went from there. The relationship started off really good, so I thought, but then I started to notice some red flags within the relationship, starting from what I saw him for the first time. So after us meeting on IMVU, we were long distance for 2 years. There were a lot of red flags that now looking back, I'm like, I should have just left that nigga alone. One of them being is when we saw each other for the first time, we met twice. The very first time that we met, I saw text messages on his phone talking sexually to a girl, but he claimed he was talking about me. And somehow or another in this dumb brain, I believed him. And then after that, like, that's when it started to get a little rocky. A lot of red flags that I saw was we shared each other's location, and sometimes he wasn't always where he said he was. He would sometimes say he don't have any money to see me, but I be seeing him buy stuff. A lot of other red flags on my part was that I was like coming out of pocket a lot. I remember I got a refund check from the school, and at least a good half of it was spent on him. Now, honestly speaking, and I'm so mad at myself because that was some good money. That COVID money was some good money. Yeah, so on to the breakup. We broke up September 28th, 2020. I remember that day so vividly because I had 2 midterms that day, and I woke up at 7:30 a.m. and that's when he called me to break up with me. Before my 2 midterms. So how nice was that? But even after that, we were still on and off for 2 months. And those 2 months were so rough. And I was already going through so much. That semester was really rough because that was my make or break semester. I basically had to get straight A's that semester, because if I didn't, I would have lost my scholarship. And that would have been a big SOL if I lost my scholarship the last semester of my senior senior year. Yeah, that semester was really difficult and really rough. And even with us being on and off for 2 months, the click moment that I got was on Thanksgiving. He told me he didn't love me anymore. I just had to think to myself, like, why am I putting myself through this? Why am I fighting with somebody and fighting for somebody so hard, and they don't even love me? They don't even reciprocate the same love that I have for them. And that was my click moment. And after that, I completely stopped talking to him. Like a couple weeks later, I ended up finding out that he got another girlfriend, and they was watching Christmas movies and stuff together. They was telling each other I love you and stuff on Twitter and whatnot. Yeah. Now when that happened, I sent him the most nastiest paragraph that I could ever think of and that could ever come out of my mouth. And I blocked that man on everything. I blocked him on the PS4, and I don't even have a PS4. I don't even own a game console. That's how serious this was to me. And this really was a breakup that changed me, because this is where I just realized at 23, it is not normal for me to have been in 6 relationships between the ages of 14 all the way up until 21, 22. And that's where I realized that me and God had to have a conversation. And this conversation just really entailed not only what do I want most out of life, but what do I want most out of love. When I answered that question to him, he was like, okay, so it's the same love that you want. Is that the same love that you give to yourself? And that was really the moment where I was like, yeah, I need to just take a step back from relationships, from men, from dating, from sex, all that, and just completely go cold turkey, because I had to realize that it wasn't always just them. It was some self-reflecting that I had to do on my part in order to heal for my next relationships, for what I do want. Because I told God, I don't want to deal with this same hurt no more. I want my next man to be my husband. Do you hear me? And so my big lesson and my big takeaway from this relationship is, number one, people will show you who they are, and you need to believe it the very first time. Because 9 times out of 10, 11 times out of 10, they're not going to change who they are unless something very drastic happens. And the second lesson that I learned is find out a way to allocate love to different spaces of your life. One thing that I realized and that I prayed to God about is that I asked him to show me, or make it easier and show me love. There was love that existed outside of relationships. It also had to do with your platonic relationships that you have with your friends, your relationship that you have with your family, and just the village that you grew up around. Because there's so many people that have love for you, believe it or not, and that can fulfill you so much more than any relationship ever could. I know for me, like my friends during fall of 2022, oh my gosh, I felt extremely loved by them so much when I was going through so much. And it's something that if I talk too much about it, I'm gonna start crying, because like I really prayed to God around that time to be shown love like that, and he answered. So I'm so grateful. So now, the whole overall lesson, or my big takeaway from all the 6 relationships that I've been in, I am the motherfucking prize. I hope what you can take from this video is just some little gems from the life lessons that I've learned along the way. In my 23 years of living, I am still growing, and I'm still making mistakes along the way, still being delusional along the way, and I don't think that's ever going to stop, because I have big dreams and I'm going to dream big. If you got this far, thank you so much for tuning into my video. If you want to see more videos just like this, be sure to leave suggestions in the comment box. And also, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to your girl K Creative. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Bye.